Welcome to those of you who are just now joining. Just a note that the webinar will be recorded and shared later. Also, if you have any questions during the webinar, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. We will answer them at the end during the Q&A session.
All right, then it's my turn to welcome everyone on behalf of Eurosite to this webinar on agriculture in times of war, farming in Ukraine. And I'll keep my introduction short because we have a very full program in the next 90 minutes. I'm pleased to say that we have great speakers, both from the academic and the NGO world, as well as practitioners of farming operators, and representatives of farming associations. So this is the, I think, third webinar we're doing, if you will, in the series on the situation in Ukraine since the full-out Russian invasion attempt. This is the first one where we're focusing on agriculture and how that is affected in Ukraine by the war, and how the farming community in Ukraine has adapted to the war situation and has shown resilience and innovation in response. So if you're interested in the previous iterations, you'll find them on the YouTube channel of Eurosite. And with that, I'll introduce our speakers today. The first one will be Bogdan Protz, who many of you will already know. He's the CEO of the Danube-Carpathian Programme, an NGO based in Lviv, Ukraine. Then we have Alexander Sovakov. He's an associate professor for forest restoration and melioration at the Forest Restoration and Melioration Department of the National University of Life and Environmental Sciences. We have with us Nadia Itkova, a farmer. She will be sharing a video. She's the co-owner of a family eco-farm called Honeyberry, which is located nearby Lviv. And that farm is specialized in growing raspberries and blueberries and processing those fruits. So we'll get a video contribution from her. Then we have Yaroslav Kardash, who's the head of the Association of Farmers and Private Landowners of the Lviv region, sitting next to Bogdan. And last but not least, Natalia Striamets, who's the IPBES leading expert of the Danube-Carpathian Programme. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Bogdan, to kick off the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Tilman. Welcome, everybody. I want the first welcome from Danube-Carpathian Programme, which it's an honor to organize together the seminar with Eurosite. The first, to start our first lecture, I would like to ask you to commemorate with a moment or minute of silence fallen people in the war. That is something what we are routinely doing, as the war is quite very tragic, and I hope you will support that. Thank you very much. We appreciate it very much on it. That is quite important. So today I'm coming with a presentation which will be overview agriculture in time of war, connection which is going quite difficult time to show you general situation in the country nowadays, which is underlying and especially impact on the farmers, which is actually Ukraine is very strong global agricultural players, and agricultural sector is extremely important, and they are still keeping country to swim, to fight in this war. So economy and the fighting is together. They are quite important in this situation. I will share screen. So you can see the picture. It's Alexander Hordienko, who is already hero of Ukraine, is a farmer, is the head of the Farmer Association from the Kherson region. He is in the with weapon shooting drones and protecting his land. But he was killed by a drone attack by Russians. And it's something, this picture, which is commemorate him, and it was very good film being done about his life to show his achievement and in the fighting. So it's put a very special approach to people when people protecting their land, people wants to keep going with their life, and someone interfere very severe. So you would be surprised, but it's already 5th year of full-scale war and 17th year of war since Crimea invasion. Hard, bloody, heavy losses, and sustained pressure. But Ukraine remains defiant and does not feel close to defeat. It is now clear what Russia has failed to execute its initial plan to take our country within 3 days and to erase our nation, culture, and democracy. The high price Russia pays seems to be reflected in over 1.2 million deaths or wounded. Technology and innovation saved us and demonstrated to the war have to endure. Ukrainians want peace more than everyone else in the world, but not on Russian terms, which require surrender, ongoing war, and clear occupation of another countries. It is existential war for us because it already was facts of genocide, ethnic cleansing, ecocide, plan to abolish our constitution, complete political and ethnic cleansing of Ukraine. Despite after so already many years, poll showing 2/3 of Ukrainians believe what Ukraine can continue fighting for as long as necessary. The world, especially the European Union states with Ukraine and its people, support them, and we express our deep gratitude. Food security is a very important part of our survival, and this is also very important on global scale. Just funny picture in some way when you see recovery of people after the war, when still remnants of destroyed Russian tank, but beside that, people already putting everything in the work, they are planting in the spring and continue their life. This is the model how Ukraine is developing nowadays. If we see you, everybody knows where's line of front of fighting area, which is now. But this war, just remind you, it's imperial for Russian. They are considering for minerals And currently, they control 65% of coal deposit, 10% of oil deposit, 15 gas, and 40 metal and rare earth elements. Also, they acquired large amount of fertile soil, chernozem, which is very important for our agriculture. They are also occupied. How important is Ukraine for global food security before the full-scale war? If you look on the picture and you see for Ethiopia 45%, Tunisia 31%, in wheat and in sunflower oil, it's up to 95%, 86%. So many countries, especially in Northern Africa, when they are most difficult with climatic conditions, they are relying on food supply from Ukraine. Even during the war, during full-scale war, we are still delivering a number of the food during 22-24, and now it's continuing to Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia, Nigeria, Kenya. It is still going on. Russia war against Ukraine was deal a devastation blow to agriculture, which prior to the invasion accounted 10% of the country's GDP and 44% of its exports. Key loss indicators. Total losses. Ukraine agricultural sector has suffered more than 80 billion in direct losses and damages. Destruction and assets, its estimated value of destructed assets, it means tractors, area, buildings, 10.3 billion, which 56.7% of damaged equipment. So this is in general in agriculture in sector. Land loss, 20% of agricultural land remained occupied, and 30% of the territory requires inspection for mines. Livestock, we have huge amounts of chicken and 100,000 of cattle have died due to shelling and failure to care for them. It's not just been direct impact, we have impact on production, decrease and logistic. It's like reduced harvest. Corn and wheat production have fallen by approximately 20-30% compared to pre-war levels. Energy dependence, attack on power grid are threatening industrial livestock farming. For example, we have 4 million chickens died in Chernobyevka poultry farm due to power outages. Logistic crisis. Russia blockade Black Sea ports has forced Ukraine to seek alternative roads. As you remember, many other lorries been going through the Poland and another Hungary and another countries to deliver to some of the ports grain. Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant disaster. This was built for irrigation purposes, and this completely this land was out of agricultural purpose. Global inspection for food security. Ukraine supplied a substantial share of global market. It's a 50% of sunflower oil, 15% of corn, and 10% of wheat. So price now increased, global grain prices increased from 270 to 500 per ton at their peak. Regional dependence. North African and Middle Eastern countries get 50% of grain imports from Ukraine. If we take adaptation and recovery, definitely farmers are moving away from monoculture towards the diversification, increasing vegetable and legume crops for domestic market. Also, the mining, it's one of the crucial and especially robots technology, innovative technology, it's very important to the mine and creation register for contaminated land and financial support. So government trying to make different kind of loans, grants program for small farmers to promote security, sustainability. The biggest threats is mines, war, soil pollution, especially for area when it was heavy battles, especially it's going many to the soil, and enemy drones, which is still kill zone is expanding. So it means if it's coming to agricultural foul, it's for farmers, it's again difficult to work in the spring and autumn periods when this kill zone is expanding. Also, we have very strange, based on the war, fiber optic cable remnants from FPV. So this is very unique, never happened before, pollution for agricultural sector. You can see on the right side in lower picture, when it's showing huge amount of the plastic lines, which is covered, it's a fiber optic cables when drone is flying and they are not to be interrupted by the another anti-drone guns. The most important is the people. So we definitely, it's no accurate official statistics, total number of farmers who went to the war, because this information is classified. It is known what thousands of farmers were mobilized into rank of armed forces of Ukraine, and more than 128 farmers officially registered up to now have died from explosive devices and combat operations since the start of the full-scale invasion. The most famous farmers, I would say, it's the Minister Hordienko, known farmer who single-handed cleared thousands of the hectares of field and shot down drones with rifle. He is awarded Star Hero of Ukraine 2025 posthumously. And also Ivan Deineka, it's another chairman of the Association of Farmer and Private Landowner of Sumy region. His car stepped on the mine and he died as well. So it's really tragic, even such people who is leading in these regions, but it's still very, very difficult situation for everybody. To get agricultural sector, you need to get communities, but definitely when Russian destroying villages house by house, it's very difficult and very slowly community recover. You see one of the villages in the lowland when almost everything destroyed, or larger houses. So the point is we are still standing in this war and support with our strength, building logistic and using technology, we are able to fight for much longer period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Bogdan, for this very impressive overview. And we'll keep questions till the very end. I have the role of keeping everyone more or less on time, which is a bit thankless because these presentations are very worthwhile listening to. So bear with us if we go a little bit over time at the end of this webinar. So with that, I'll ask Alexander to turn on his screen. Or there he is. And without further ado, the floor is yours, Alexander.
Hello to everyone. My name is Alexander. I'm Associated Professor of Forestry, Restoration and Melioration Department of National University of Life and Environmental Science of Ukraine. It should be noted that the war have had a significant impact on Ukrainian farmers, especially in the eastern part of our country, where they have come under the fire or occupation. In general, the following negative effects can be identified. It's a logistical problem, blockade of ports, damage of transport, roads, custom issues, some problems with the resources, like limited imports, fertilizers, fuel, seeds, and so on. Also, it's a problem with the labor force, migration of the workers, and a decrease in their numbers because of the mobilization of the men in general. Our scientific work based on Farm Force project, small-scale agroforestry farmers, inclusive and fair value chains from farm to fork for the resilient local and regional systems in Ukraine. This project, founded by Swedish Institute, also there are such partners: Agroforestry Sweden, Ivan Franko, National University of Lviv, National University of Life and Environmental Science of Ukraine, Swedish University of Agriculture Science, and WWF Ukraine. On screen, you can see our Ukrainian team: Marina Elbakidze, Alessia Buryanik from Ivan Franko University, Gana Lobchenko from the WWF, and Vasil Ikhnovsky and me from Kiev University. We do the scientific research, and this scientific research in a process. So we continue working with it till the year, and after this period, we have the whole information about value chains. In this project, but also with value chains, we analyze the agroforestry approach of these farms, and we take 4 farms. 2 farms we take from the Carpathian region, and the agroforestry component, like agro-pasture with a fruit tree, and 2 farms located in the Kiev region, in the central part of the Ukraine, and for this territory is plate territory. Very common use the windbreaks because we have very big fields, like 100 hectares and more. The first farm which we analyzed in value chain, located in the Carpathian village of Yavoriv. It's a small mountain farm, like a family farm, combined traditional animal husbandry, and the main products of the activities is Gutsul Brinza. And of course, at the beginning of the war, the sales fell about 2 and more times because of the war, some problems with the logistic markets, and so on. You can see on the screen the value chain, and we analyzed the same approach to our 4 farmers. And really, it's a very big problem at the beginning of the war, but gradually customer prices resumed, which contributed to the stabilization of sales. It's depend on the territory because they situated in the west part of the Ukrainian where the war line is so far from. And the main problems which we're talking with farmers, and they said that it's very problem market problem because decline in sales and in the selling cheese at the local market. So some problem with the road connection and so on. The second our farms, it's agriculture cooperative Chista Flora. It's also the Carpathian region, Stopchani community. Comprehensive processing of products is carried out. They do pasteurization of juice, drying of apples, packaging of tea products, and others products, and some problems with this impact of the war on the value chain. The domestic market has declined more than half. Logistics have become complicated. Costs have increased by 2 and more times. Also have become more complicated. Lack of transport, mobilization of the men. The same situation like a previous. And on the value chain scheme, you can see some difficulties which we analyzed at the time of war, marketing and logistics. The second part of farmers, it's farmers which are located in the central part of Ukraine, and for they use main crops, four main crops to grow on this territory. Winter wheat, corn, sunflowers, and soybeans. But in our value chain, we analyze winter wheat as this kind of crops. Winter wheat is very important for food security for Ukraine, and this kind of farmers like a traditional farmer, but they use a very interesting approach, no-till management with a precision farming, and over 18 years of management, they increased the humus from 3.2 to 4.2. It's around 1%. It's very great result for farmers like this. And it's important to say the floor of this farms used by our Ukrainian very famous brand like Roshen, Житомирські ласощі, and this kind of brands exported this product to the European Union. In the value chain, you can see it's some problems at the beginning of the war because very high price on the fertilization. Also, it's problem with the processing grain into flour because we have the problem with electricity. Russia rockets and bombed our cities and some factories and so on. It's very, very big problem for us and nowadays. Also, some problems in the marketing, sales. The fourth our farm, which we analyzed in this field, it's a Zlagodar farm, and this farm managing about 160 hectares of agricultural land. As I said before, this kind of farm and previous farm, Maria, used the agroforestry plantation, and it's called windbreaks. And this kind of windbreaks you can see on a second picture on my screen. It's very common for Ukrainian central part, eastern part, and southern part, where we have common black soil, and this kind of windbreaks very effective and help to save the crops through the Ukraine. We analyzed in this farm winter rapeseed. It's very important for Ukraine crops, and also we're talking about this with the farmers. And at the beginning of the war, Dmitro, the chief of this farm, said to us that it's very complicated to do any activities, and he took some program from the European Union, and European Union support the farmers like him, and they give some money for activities, and it's very important, especially for the beginning of the war. You can see some problems which caused by the war and very complicated, because rapeseed which used on these fields, the rapeseed very sensitive to the climate change, to the temperature and humidity, and farmers use only European hybrids of this, and also during the war the price higher and higher time after time, and it's also the problem. The second problem, it's oil processing. It's also a problem because we don't have enough factories to do it, and the big level of this corn on seeds and oil exported to the European Union. So, as I said before, we have only a half information about the value chain, and after this year we will have the whole information. But as a conclusion, I want to say that small agroforestry farms demonstrate social response, diversity through diversification, local knowledge, and flexible production processing system. It's very important. And strengthening farmers' network are inclusive value chains governance is essential to transform short-term shopping into long-term resilient recovery. And it's very also important to stabilize the farmer network inside in the Ukraine, and do the resilient for the next our activity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexander, for the insights into your project. And we have a question in the Q&A, but I'll hand it back to Bogdan now, who's our next speaker again. And he'll give a presentation on how to deal with contaminated land, demining, and making it available again for agricultural practices. So, Bogdan, you can turn on your screen again and start sharing your presentation.
Can you hear me properly? Yes. So the next one, it's going about.
I think your screen is still turned up. There you are. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, because it's number of points. I actually continue with a very important point, which is not allowing to work on agricultural field. It's about contaminated land, demining, land release situation for agricultural land. When explosion happened, you can see it's one place when it's happened, and you see how very different looks like. Nowadays, government trying to do a little bit more sophisticated like it was before. They putting interactive map for area potentially contaminated with explosive ordnance. So it means it's going to be mapped. People can look, can share, and can understand in which area you can go and in which area it's better to avoid. As you see, not only this area is along the war or former fighting, but also separate outside of it when some of the rockets been flying and they are still not actually liquidated. Since the start of full-scale invasion, Ukraine has cleared over 35,000 square kilometers of territory. Land clearance process includes several key factors. It's a total area clear, so 35,000 has been returned to safe use thanks to efforts of State Emergency Service, Ministry of Defense, and private operators. We have quite a lot of private operators, some of them like very large, like Hilo, which is working on not only in Ukraine, but also in many other countries, in Asia especially. Agricultural land, in 25 alone, it's a pyrotechnicians surveyed and cleared approximately 34,300 hectares of priority agricultural land. To speed up process, Ukraine has a state compensation program for demining, which allowed farmers to hire private operators and receive reimbursement for the cost of the work. Equipment and personnel, 260 demining machines are in operation nowadays, supported by 87 operators and 5,500 specialists. You need to know time from time to this area when these people staying, Russians are hitting with ballistic missiles. Mine territory. Despite clearance effort, Ukraine remains one of the most heavily mined countries in the world nowadays, with the south and east being the most affected. On the right corner, you see comparison, it's around this 130,000 kilometers, which is, and you see this is 125% of the Bulgaria territory, 165% of Austria, and 3 times more Switzerland. So this is a huge area which still work is going ahead. Large numbers, and it sounds a lot of things work is done, but reality and quality of the mining are far more complex. I can say you about the case, which I am very much aware. I know these people. This is one of the farmers, which is crop doing. This is Kozlenko Volodymyr. He is in Posad Pokrovsky, the Kherson region. He just in the area when they returned, they on the small area, 0.2 hectares, they have 6 times check over the 3 years, and they found 36 unexploded devices for the area 0.2 hectares. And still agricultural field around this village is not demined. Also, you need to know we have very different mines with very different danger. And especially nowadays, it's a so-called petioles. It's a small, which is even painted with brown and green, and very much for people difficult to find it. and people stepping on them, losing legs or getting quite injured very heavily. And they are distributed by Russians with the cassette cartridges, which is in one time they distribute several thousand of such mines. If you look what we are getting, it's on distance mines. It means like if they can be operated from many kilometers and then exploded. And then another type of mines, which is people when returning to the villages, they using traps, bobby traps, which after people getting killed or injured. It's very common. According to the early 2026 data, over 15,000 civilians have been killed and 10,000 injured, mainly because of mines and explosive remnants of war. The risk of injury is especially high in the Kherson, Kharkiv, and Donetsk regions. Key facts about mine danger. So children, hundreds of children have fallen victim to explosive remnants. So it's registered now over 766 killed and 2,540 injured. Locations. The highest number of casualties is recorded near the front line and in their occupied territories. Types of threats. It's anti-personnel mines, anti-tank mines, cluster munition, and tripwires. We have also such interesting, because the area is very mined and many people cannot demine it because they are waiting official for a long period of time, and it's appeared such group of people, it's calling black deminers. So some people for money who is demining the area by themselves, not officially, because another farmers wants to go with planting and another people. And below you see the farmer from Mykolaiv region, Dmitro Yeliseyenko. He been stepped on the mine and his tractor been destroyed and he been injured. And that was, but he survived luckily. And that was as the one life what they are facing each day. The point is, many mines you even can officially get cleaned, it still cannot be 100% cleaned. That is one of the very difficult situation, and it's only certain technology probably can help, like special drones types with special cameras, etc. The main areas of work for 2026, it's a technical survey. So it's planned covering over 31,000 square kilometers of potentially mine areas. So it's very important to make this mining area as precise as possible. Innovation and technology, it's utilization of drones, robotic systems, and expansion of fleet of demining vehicles, including these manufactured in Ukraine. Then digitalization, development of register of potentially contaminated areas, training, it's a broadened training center for deminers, it's particularly with support from Japan, and the establishing of interagency training base with mine detection dogs. Support for farmers, it's continued mechanism for compensation 100% of the cost of demining services for agricultural land, and professionalization, it's a training and equipping 8 specialized demining battalions, including more than 70 mine action operators. So you can see different type of the demining machines. they are much more than you see. They are using this special chain in the front, which is hitting soil to cause detonation of the mine. And this kind of approach or heavy pressure on soil, very often some of them, it's no operator, it's a distance or remote control. Most of this machine is going remote control, so operator is with big distance in hiding conditions. But that is how it's just as examples how nowadays the mining mostly going, but also is working personnel who is well trained and they are in practice using slowly, but it's very long process. The machine is much faster, but not always 100%.
Unfortunately, we are running out of time, or I should say over time. So
the last one, there is a classic formula in the world. 1 year of the war equals average of 10 years of demining. It's already 40 years of future demining. So the price shows the occupied territory, the longer they are occupations, the more mines and shells the occupiers leave behind in the liberated territories. So the big support is to the armed forces of Ukraine, which is, they are actually the most can save us from the mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin, for these staggering numbers, and it's a horrific topic, unfortunately. So next we'll move to Nadia Pitkova, who unfortunately can't be with us today. So she recorded a video that we will share with you now. And I'll hand it over to you, Taylor, to show your screen with the video. Thank you.
We started a family business in 2018. The initiator and ideological inspirer of this business was my brother. He was a participant in the anti-terrorist operation, formerly known as the war with Russia, before 2022. And when he returned from the East, where he defended our Ukraine from the Russian invasion, at a joint family meeting, he proposed creating a farm where to plant strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries. And of course, we supported him. First of all, it was a consolation for him. Perhaps, in his thoughts, he wanted to change the situation and find himself in this business. We started in 2018, as I already said. In 2022, a full-scale invasion began. The first year was difficult, not so much physically, but morally. Morally, it was really difficult because you did not know what awaited you tomorrow. Sometimes there was no fuel, and it was difficult to get fertilizer. After the full-scale invasion, I was forced to learn a lot. First and foremost, I had to become stronger and more responsible. I was also forced to learn to drive. The war started, and there was no one left. We had to drive. Sometimes my hands dropped, and I cried. But support is really important. Support from parents, support from a brother at the front who constantly said, "Efsimu, everything will be fine." I used him as an example because of how hard it is for them there, and I can't cope here. It can't be like that. That's why we became stronger, and we have to stay that way. Of course, this is a painful topic for us. My brother started this farming business and helped us as much as he could. Although he wasn't home often, he was on a military contract. He was a participant in the anti-terrorist operation. He was a volunteer, a cyborg, defending the Donetsk airport. And he probably felt more at home there than at home. When he came home, he planted blueberry seedlings, tied up the raspberries, and those bushes are still growing. The memory of him will probably be there as long as this farm exists, and as long as we live, there will be a memory of him. Unfortunately, as painful as it is, he died in November, at the beginning of winter. My parents, of course, took this news very painfully. I was very worried, since they are of retirement age, and their health, of course, is not the same. But as for my father, in fact, this farm saved him. Because of the winter, there was a power outage. It was the first winter without power. Sitting in four walls and thinking about only one thing, you can go crazy. And as soon as it was dawn, he woke up and went to the field. He tied up the bushes. That year, though, the winter was not as severe as this year. It was quite warm, and he tied them up. From morning to night, whenever I arrived, he was always there. He himself said, "It's like a consolation for me. There, the pain is forgotten." He just thinks about something else, and in this way he was able to survive this loss. Although it is impossible to survive. It's always with you, but I think it's the only thing that saved you. The memory of my brother, of course, will live on as long as our farm lives and as long as we live. Already on the 23rd, I noticed the number of people in the market had decreased. There were more people of retirement age and women with children. There were fewer and fewer men, and we saw that demand had fallen as well. So we decided we needed to look for other ways to sell, because the market doesn't guarantee you'll sell everything. So we take some and sell it. We freeze some and then process it. This is our product, pastilla. This is the second year we have been making pastilla, selling it, and making it. We now have 4 dehydrators. I think this probably isn't enough, and we need to buy more, since there's demand for pastilla. Who doesn't know what pastilla is? It's baked or boiled apples as a base, with any berry added. It can be strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, or any other berry added. And it is dried at low temperatures. And accordingly, we get candies from apples and any berry. When the war began, 5 families moved to us from the eastern regions. They lived partly with my parents, partly we settled them here in the village, but they were like relatives to us, and we helped them in any way we could. The displaced people who came to us, forced to leave their homes, told us how painful it was to leave. They cried, remembering how they had left their homes in February, letting all their livestock out into the street, hoping the animals in the barn would not die, and that somehow they would survive in nature. They left behind their equipment, hectares of land and everything they had collected since the 90s. They say, "We left everything and became homeless." That is why I wish everyone to return home. It will be very difficult for us after the war, but we will cope. If we have survived so far, we will cope after the war. On a farm, electricity is used far more than in ordinary life when processing berries. When there is no light, we try to continue working. We have a generator and an inverter generator, and we use them as needed. We don't sleep at night because we need to switch between them to give the equipment a rest, and that's how we work. But when we have light, we try to work as hard as we can every day without days off. I remember that after 2014, when my brother was in the war zone, he asked me to send him strawberry seedlings and a drip irrigation system to the east so he could grow strawberries. They had the opportunity then. He says that we have more or less peace here somewhere and that something happens elsewhere. He asked me to give it to him. I quickly gathered everything and sent it to him. He planted it there and tended to it. But I think he said they hadn't harvested it yet because they had to move and didn't have time. But the fact that he wanted to bring berry growing there from home was true. I think rehabilitation and rest for veterans on our farm is a good idea. I understand how difficult it is for soldiers returning home to this city's noise. Maybe there are those, and there definitely are, who have no support, no one to return to, no family, no parents, and I will be sincerely glad to see them. It's like my father. He just climbed out of that hole. Those plants helped him. It's the same here. We have peace, quiet, and a pine forest. We have a lake and berries. You can work, take a break, bring your children, or just sit and relax away from the city noise. And maybe some military personnel will even want to open their own business and grow berries. We will sincerely share our experience. We will even give seedlings. If only our country would develop and flourish. I will be glad to see everyone because I lost my brother and see him in every soldier. Therefore, it is important to me. I will be very glad, although perhaps the conditions are not quite comfortable, as this is a field where we grow berries with a tractor. But whoever wants to, I will be happy. Come for free, collect, taste, relax. Forest, nature, you can walk, forget about everything, and talk. Here you can forget about this damn war. Of course, we visit our soldiers every season. We bring them our berries, both blueberries and raspberries. We are very worried about them. How many mutilated souls, bodies. It is very difficult. Therefore, I will be glad when they come to us. Sometimes my brother's siblings and acquaintances come, and I see how important it is for them to be remembered and mentioned, and to be helped. This year, I want to set up 2 gazebos for you to relax in. We have a lake, there is a house where, if necessary, you can spend the night, but we still need to finish some things and bring water. And we will decide what else is needed as we go. Maybe if someone really wants to visit us, they will suggest ways to make it better. Regarding the farm's development plans, we plan to produce pastila and freeze-dried berries. As for the berries themselves, of course, we are increasing the area and will plant new seedlings. In addition, last year we planted currants, and we will see how they bear fruit this year and whether we should increase the number of currants. And of course, first of all, we will probably still think about how to solve the problem with electricity. The situation is complicated. In winter, we only need electricity to make pastila, and when the season begins, we will need electricity to water the berries. Without light, we can't go anywhere. We simply can't do it manually. Summer can be very hot, and during drought, berries need to be watered and fed on time. Therefore, we will consider this issue and try to resolve it. We think it will be a solar station that provides electricity year-round. The war taught us to live today and now, to work today and now, because tomorrow may not come. That's why we work like this, but we still think about the future, about our children. Without this, there is no way. Ukraine will win. I believe in it,
Now, after this very impressive example of generosity, solidarity, and resilience by Nadia, we'll move to our next speaker, Yaroslav Karash, who's sitting with Bogdan. So please turn on your screen, gentlemen, and then you can share.
Yeah. Start. Yeah.
There you are. You can share your presentation now, and the floor is yours. And I'm asked to ask you to try to keep it short as we continue to be over time.
Thank you. Yaroslav is going to tell farmers. I will translate. We are talking about the farmer support for army and veterans, which is they are doing very.
Okay, can you go into presentation mode and receive?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Я з 1992 року особисто займаюся фермерським господарством. Моя ферма є невеличка, 19 гектарів землі.
I'm farmers starting from 1992, and my farmers is around 19 hectares.
І з того часу я займаюся і громадською роботою паралельно з господарством. У моїй сім'ї 7 дітей.
I'm doing also civil society obligations, and I've got seven kids.
Разом з тим, з початком повномасштабної війни у 22-му році 2 мої сини пішли на війну. Ну, це фото просто є те, що наша діяльність громадська, це йде інформування про у прес-клубі Львівському.
So Yaroslav is the head of Association of Farmers of Private Landowners of the Lviv region. He is former ministry staff, married with 6 children. 2 of them participated in the war against Russia. He is very active in civil society activities.
От, власне, з початком повномасштабної війни 2 моїх сини мобілізувалися добровільно у військо.
2 of his son voluntarily went to the war to fight.
От, Остап старший трошки пізніше попав на фронт, бо не проходив строкової служби, був звільнений у зв'язку з здоров'ям від несення військової служби.
Ostap is the older one. He was in the war, but now he actually been retired from obligations.
І він проходив 3-місячну підготовку перед тим, як попасти на фронт.
It was 3 months preparation before to start obligation in the military on front line.
А молодший син Ярема мобілізувався відразу в перший день, 24 лютого, і потрапив у 24-ту бригаду, де пройшов дуже важку дорогу, починаючи з Луганської області від Попасної, і по всіх східних і південних областях воював.
Second son Yarema, he was fight in the part of the 24th Brigade in Popasna, Luhansk, Bakhmut. So he was voluntary, went to the war and been since 2022.
Так, на сьогоднішній день вони обоє є інвалідами війни.
Nowadays they are both is the invalids of the war.
Коли вони пішли на фронт, було дуже багато проблем у їхньому забезпеченні, починаючи від засобів захисту, бронежилетів, касок і так далі.
When they went to the war, it was a lot of lack of the ammunition.
І закінчуючи продуктами, поганою логістикою.
And with poor logistic in military and plenty lack of the food.
І ми взялися допомагати спочатку своїм синам.
The first they've been supporting both sons.
А згодом і поширили нашу допомогу на багато різних напрямків.
And then this support been expanded for different directions with different groups, different battalions, different people. So if we look now, it's Association of Farmers and Landowners of the Lviv region donates or buy in different goods, in different things, but it's in amount between 50-100 euros each month to refugees, army, and war veterans.
Дуже багато колишніх військових сьогодні є інвалідами війни, як і мої діти.
Many war veterans, they are invalids, similar like my kids.
І у нас у Львівській області є великий реабілітаційний центр Галичина.
In Lviv region, they got a rehabilitation center Галичина, it's called.
Де на лікуванні і реабілітації знаходиться більше як понад 300 осіб військових.
They are about 300 personnel. They are now on a rehabilitation stage.
З важкими політравмами.
With very heavy wounds.
І у них також в різні періоди були різні проблеми, починаючи від продуктів харчування і завершуючи...
In different period, they have different problems as well. Also with logistic, with food, also with different support material, etc. So volunteers came and their association been going or stepping to support them, to fill a gap of luck.
І ми разом з фермерами взялися допомагати продуктами харчування і іншими засобами, якими ми могли допомогти. Оце фото, це є фото у мене в господарстві.
It's a photo from his orchard.
Бо моє господарство спеціалізується на вирощуванні плодового саду, яблуні.
He is specialized in apples.
Справа ви бачите мою дружину Оксану.
It's a wife.
А посередині представник Мальтійської служби.
It's the middle, it's a Maltese service representative.
А перед нами колишній військовослужбовець сьогодні.
And former soldier.
Інвалід.
Or now invalid.
Який проходив реабілітацію.
Which been carrying rehabilitation for a long period of time.
Він є родом з Буковини, з Чернівецької області.
He is from Chernihiv region.
І він, власне, спеціалізувався до війни на обрізці садів плодових.
Before the war, he was a farmer and he was cutting orchards to make them grow.
Це був його бізнес.
It was his business.
А тепер він став інвалідом і
he becomes severe invalid, and for him is the very difficult situation.
І психологічно він був дуже подавлений.
And psychologically he was in big depression. He did not want to talk to people. Absolutely refusing.
Так, він свого майбутнього життя не бачив, попавши в реабілітаційний центр, не спілкувався.
He has not seen the life future for him. And he was already almost on the verge to collapse.
Так. І дуже багато колишніх військових, інвалідів на сьогоднішній день в такій самій критичних ситуаціях бувають.
So many soldiers, former soldiers or veteran, which is especially invalid, they are in very similar situation. They need support, they need taking care on, give them the job, what they can continue their life. It's critically important.
І коли він приїхав до мене у господарство, він ожив, почав спілкуватися, посміхатися.
When they brought him to the garden and he started to live, he started to talk, first time in years, and he started to communicate with people, and that was excellent sign as example what so many people around and they need our support.
Це дуже важливо для цих колишніх військових інвалідів, дуже важливо знайти дорожку реабілітації, в першу чергу психологічної.
It's extremely important to support psychological rehabilitation so they can continue their life.
Дякую.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jaroslav, for showing us this full range of support from you personally and your organization, the association, and in particular the emotional and psychological dimension as well of your support. With that, I'll hand it over to Natalia Striamets, who will continue on the subject of resilience and how that is an important aspect in the strategy of the farming community. Natalia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Please tell me if you can hear me properly and you can see my screen.
I can hear you fine. And it says that you have started your screen sharing. I'm not seeing your slides just yet, but I think they'll show up in a second. There they are. I'm not seeing them in presentation mode yet, so you may want to go into presentation mode.
Yeah, I have started, and tell me if you can see them properly right now.
I'm waiting for the screen to change. Yeah, now they're in presentation mode. You can
Okay.
start.
Okay, thank you so much for your attention. And my presentation will be kind of conclusion to today's webinar. And with this presentation, I will try in very shortly to explain why Ukrainian farmers are so resilient. So with all the presentation you have heard today, you can understood that Ukraine is really extremely important for food security, both nationally but also globally. But Ukrainian farmers do have a huge problems and huge, they are in the front line of the multiple crises. So it's not only the war, you've seen many presentations today who explained the war, but also climate change, market disruptions. All of those are impacting the life of the farmers. And when we are talking about resilience, unfortunately, we don't have much time to go deep into the conceptual framework. But the term resilience and the concept, it first was developed in the ecology. An ecological resilience was defined in the amount of disturbance that ecosystem could withstand without changing self-organized process. And later, Karl Folke has developed the resilience in the social science. So basically, resilience is the capacity of the system to absorb disturbance and to change and transform when necessary, while maintain all the functions. And resilience, it's include ecological resilience, social resilience, socio-ecological system perspective. And resilience really reflects the ability of people and communities to live and to develop with the change. So if the disruption, the war or other crises are influencing the system, and the system could survive and could provide their functions, then this system is called resilient. And type of the shocks that are affecting Ukrainian farmers, and therefore they still are functioning and they still have all their functions working, so they are resilient. So if you can see that that's the military shocks, occupation, landmine, destroyed infrastructures, energy shortcase, economic shocks. You have also environmental shocks such as climate change, droughts, but also polluted lands due to war. And if you are trying to understand Ukrainian farmers, when we did this study, when we interviewed farmers who are living 1,000 kilometers from the front line in the very western part of Ukraine, but they still are affected by war. And when you hear the stories that you have a dairy farm, and then in one day you don't have any electricity and you have to milk 60 cows, then you are calling all your friends and relatives so they could come and help you manually to milk those cows, because otherwise they got really sick. Or the other story is when you have to get from the supplier fertilizer for your land, but then the supplier said, because of the war, I can't provide you with fertilizer. Then how can you fertilize your soil? So this, all of those stories are really strong and really showing us how Ukrainian farmers can cope with all of those shocks and problems. So why are they so resilient and why are they so strong? First of all, Ukrainians have been farmers for many, many centuries. It is really in our culture. We have many cultural traditions, and it's kind of the part of our identity. We have traditional food, we have traditional ritual food, which is connected to the food which is grown in our gardens. We also have the diversified livelihoods. When the war started, over the media and social media, it was a call to provide the food security for everyone. So everyone should plant the small piece of land to provide themselves with the food. So, and still many Ukrainians do have the gardens, even living in the cities, they do have gardens back in the villages where their parents or grandparents are living. And unfortunately, we have experience with crisis, post-Soviet crisis, COVID crisis. So Ukrainian farmers are strong because they are used to those crisis. And how they can cope, they are using different channels to coping channels. They are switching to local markets when the supply chain is disturbed. Then they can start to sell it locally. They are using storage seeds. They are using the family labor mobilization. And here I also have to say that right now many farmers moved to more feminine farming, because either your husband is at war or he so you have to learn how to drive tractor and you have to learn how to manage your farm. So it's really shifting very fast. Also, they are using different digital tools to adjust. For example, many of farmers that we interviewed, they started to work in the cooperatives. So, for example, they don't have time to go and to sell their products by themselves, but with the cooperative, they are selling their products to the cooperative, and then they are going to the bigger market, and then they could sell it. Also, we did, I will talk a bit later about the victory gardens. The Ukrainian farmers, they are really strong. They are using the different systems. So, so they are demonstrating the multi-level resilience. they have a really good opportunity to transform to more sustainable agriculture when they don't have the chemical fertilizers. They have to do it more sustainably. But also they are, as you saw talk with Yaroslav, and many veterans are starting to do farming or starting a new business working with farmers, and this is a very good practice to heal themselves, but also to have the opportunity to work and find themselves in other than war conditions. We have some cases. Unfortunately, we don't have much time, but for example, we studied the victory gardens. That's the tradition, or victory gardens are coming from the United States and Canada after World War I and World War II. The government has promoted to grow the gardens for victory. So in United States, during World War II, it was very popular. More than 50 millions of those victory gardens were planted. And then when the war started in Ukraine, the Canadian government has give some grants to the local communities and to the schools to grow food. Basically, it has to be grown on the lands which were not used for agriculture previously. And we have very extremely interesting case in Buki community when they started to feed the kindergarten, the school, from the products that they grown on the less than half of the hectare. So it was very productive, and then they also worked, the whole community worked on this victory garden plots to provide the schools with the food. But also this victory garden project, they were working in schools, so they provide seedlings and for the balcony gardening or for the small scale microgreen gardens, so the kids could learn how to grow food, because especially in the big cities like Kyiv and Lviv, kids are starting to forget how, or don't know how to do it properly. But also we had to highlight that the resilience of the farmers come from the resilience of the communities, and civil society plays also important role here. Small scale grants, support with the seminars, or some knowledge transfer from the civil society to the farmers, and also volunteer movement. We have to say that all of the 4 years of war, we have a huge volunteer move all over Ukraine, working with a different kind of activities. And so this also role the women in the rural resilience in the villages, when the men are in the front line, or they are veterans and they are injured by the war. So the women's role are becoming more and more strongly. And I see the Tillman, so it's probably my time is over. Thank you. And if you have any questions, you can send it to me.
Thank you so much, Natalie. And yeah, unfortunately, we're nearing the end of our webinar today. Your presentation just reminded me of the book, The Well-Gardened Mind by Sue Stuart Smith, about the benefits, the psychological benefits of gardening, and how it can be used to help people recover from traumatic incidents and experiences. With that, I'll hand it over back to you, Bogdan, for an announcement, and then we'll see a final video to conclude today's webinar. If we have the time, we'll take a few questions. I see there's a couple of them in the Q&A, but now the floor is yours, Bogdan.
Thank you. I just thought we need to put the video. Maybe Taylor can give this video what we've been doing.
We are a team of scientists, experts, and practitioners from the Danube-Carpathian Programme. Every day, we work to restore wetlands, protect biodiversity, and support sustainable development. We believe in democratic values. We believe that nature and people can thrive together. So why would a nature conservation organisation raise funds to support Ukraine's defenders? Yes, we are Ukrainians. Our children are growing up here. But this is not only personal. Listen carefully. These are not added sound effects. These are real recordings of air raid sirens echoing across Ukrainian landscapes. In moments like this, one thing becomes clear. Protecting the natural heritage is almost impossible without security. Where Russian forces occupy territory, natural areas cease to be protected landscapes. They become military zones, mined areas, scarred land. We have seen this in Donetsk, in Luhansk, in Crimea. Natural resources are extracted. Land is devastated. Institutions collapse. There is no space left for democracy. No space for civil society. No space for long-term environmental protection. Protecting Ukraine's nature begins with supporting its defenders, farmers, teachers, business and civil society who carry the war on their shoulders and are dying for the country and its natural beauty. Keep supporting Ukraine.
Thanks, Taylor, for sharing that video. And Bogdan, I think this is now your moment to share your donation announcement with us.
Yes, I just cannot get to put my video because it's yeah.
There you are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In the chart, we have link at the beginning for the donations, what we are asking, because this is money, if they are donated, will go to the women farmers who's the most affected by the war. All of them lost husband, and they are very difficult to handle with farms. And we hope some donations would help them and to keep going and to maintain their activity. So please feel free to use the link and to share with other people and to provide certain support, financial. We would be very keen on it and appreciate very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Bogdan. So yeah, and Inga asked in the Q&A whether there's other ways of supporting Ukrainian farmers other than buying the products, and this is a very straightforward way of doing so. So please donate if you can spare some money. There's time for a couple of questions, and I'll just pick them up from the Q&A. The first one, or rather the last one from Henk, was about whether there's any other impacts on farming land than the direct impacts of explosives or unexploded devices. Do you know anything about the chemical pollution caused by the war or by these explosives? Maybe Bogdan, you can answer this one.
I can tell. We've been doing number of the studies and soil in Kyiv region. I can tell when we analyzed with a single explosions, even with bomb, 250, 150 kilo, we can take the amount of the pollution, some only elements being over, but not very much significantly. So this is within more or less. But for the area when huge amount of bombs and heavy fighting and a lot of vehicles and everything, this area need really a remediation, recovery, and even replacing sometimes with the soil or using modern bioremediation approach. So this is quite significant, and the amount of the heavy metals and different kind of pollutants can rise from few times to few hundred times.
Thanks, Bogdan. And Alexander, you have something to add here?
I want to say something because I work with my colleagues from WWF Ukraine and the Holotrust in Ukraine, and we recovering the windbreaks in the eastern part of Ukraine. It's Snegurivka region, Mykolaiv region, and we analyzed some demine territories under the explosion of windbreaks where we do the recovering. And there we analyzed the big, more than normal situation, nickel and chrome.
Okay, thank you. Then maybe the last two questions, and I'll try to combine two of them. One was about a question about the Maria farm and how wide scale the change of agricultural
Yes.
practices have been. And there's another question about
Okay.
how
Uh,
Ukrainian, hold on, about how Ukrainian farmers are able to adopt new techniques in these times of war, or are they still just focusing on strict survival? So maybe this is something you can answer, Alexander.
Thank you. First of all, the farm Mria has managing up to 300 hectares, and all these fields under the no-till technology with elements of precision farming, where farmers use the GPS driving of the some tractors and so on. And for the 18 years of this activity, as I said before, they had a good result, 1% humus increase. It's very big. And the next question about the situation of Ukrainian farming, as I see, because I do my work through the Ukraine, and it's the different situation. But in some part, like farm Mria, it's one of the best farm in Ukraine, and maybe not only in Ukraine, but because the farmers he has a full doctor science, and also he do the scientific work. He works with other communities, and she provide new technology. Uh, uh, 2 months before, we recovering the windbreaks on his territory, and he used windbreaks and some kind of windbreaks after the cutting, and if he used this kind of wood for some process to dry the crops like a winter wheat and so on, and he is very perspective. And like him, there are a lot of farmers in Ukraine, despite on this situation. So in general, it's so different. Some farmers is very high level, some farmers not high level. It's according to the farmers. It's according to situation and location, because we know the line so close to the east part, it's very dangerous. It's very problem. Central part, it's a bit normal. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And it's a message of hope that Ukrainian farmers continue to innovate despite their challenges that they are facing. I'm afraid we are at the end of our time today. So I want to thank all of you presenters for your time and these very important and interesting insights into the situation of farming in Ukraine. Yeah, this is the end of our webinar. If you have additional questions, you can always reach out to us via email. There will be a follow-up email from the Eurosite Secretariat. We'll share the donation information as well as the bank account or PayPal address that you can use to donate if you like. And with that, thank you, everyone, and have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
bye. Bye.